Here are the top players to pick up on waivers heading into week 6 of the fantasy football season. We're starting out with quarterbacks. Jackson Dart. Yes, he's not a good passer. NFL-wise, not great. But we're talking fantasy football here. Jackson Dart runs for 55 yards in week 5, throws for 2 touchdowns. You'll take that. He even ran Jackson Dart in his first game for 54 yards and a touchdown. When you're looking at that level of rushing production, you have yourself a borderline streamer option. And in 2-quarterback league, you know you got to have Jackson Dart. Next, Sam Darnold, rostered in 31% of leagues. Sam Darnold had 4 touchdown passes against Tampa Bay. He has multiple touchdown passes in 3 of his last 4 games. He also has games in the last 3 weeks with 300 plus yards, 242 yards, and even 4 weeks ago, 295. Sam Darnold, not great, but he's getting it done for fantasy if you need help during those bye weeks. Next, Jake Browning, only 10% rostered, and I understand why. I want you to understand, he had games against Minnesota and Denver, both away from Cincinnati. Well, yes, he struggled in those games. He was terrible, but he played Detroit. Now, not a great matchup there. Ends up with 251 and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, 3 interceptions, but he ran for 31 yards. He can put up some garbage time points. We even saw against Jacksonville in week 2 when he took over for Joe Burrow, 241 and 2 touchdowns. The interceptions will be there. They'll take away points. But again, if you're desperate for a quarterback, and definitely in a 2-quarterback league, Jake Browning will have weeks. He will help you. Finally, Mac Jones, 4% roster. These are Yahoo leagues. We're talking about a percentage rostered. Mac Jones may have a longer run as a starter. Brock Purdy apparently had a setback on his injury. He could miss weeks. Mac Jones has 3 starts, or 3 games, I should say, with the 49ers. Last week against the Rams, 342 and 2 touchdowns. Week 3, 284 and 1 touchdown. Even in week 2, 279 and 3 touchdowns. He is a great fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense. We have seen him produce when receivers are missing games. And what does that tell you? If they get anybody back, he has real floor and real upside. Finally, in 2-quarterback leagues, Dylan Gabriel did get his first start. He's 4% rostered. Dylan Gabriel against Minnesota throws 2 touchdowns. I thought that was extremely impressive. Not going to be a great quarterback, game manager. They'll use play action. They'll use their tight ends. Might be able to pile up some garbage numbers for you. All right, let's move to running back. This player is 39% rostered in Yahoo League, so I have to bring him up. If you're in a competitive league, he's probably long gone. Michael Carter. I have to bring him up. Arizona. He was the clear lead back for the Cardinals. 18 carries, 51 yards and a touchdown, 5 catches for 22 yards. Amari DiMercado had a late 70-yard run that he fumbled through the end zone without being touched. Pulled Adonai Mitchell on us. So that said, that probably makes him look worse. Michael Carter is the guy rostered, again, in very few Yahoo leagues. So you definitely want him. Trey Benson's going to miss significant time. Next one's Kenny Gainwell, 36% rostered. Jaylen Warren probably comes back from his knee injury, but you already saw if Warren misses time or if Gainwell earned more work. He had a great game against Minnesota. Who's to say the coach doesn't find some favor with him? Take a shot. If he works out, you might be onto something. Next, Tyler Algier, 31% roster, coming off a bye for Atlanta. In 2 of the last 3 games, Algier's had 51 yards and a touchdown, 76 yards and a touchdown. And every other game, though, weeks 1 and 3, he hasn't been very good. But again, if you're stuck in bye week situations or injuries, Tyler Algier gets work almost every week, double-digit carries in 3 of 4 games. So definitely he's a player to keep an eye on. And of course, we never want Bijan Robinson to miss time, but if he did, Algier walks into a substantial role. Next, Kendre Miller, New Orleans Saints. His workload has gone up the last 3 weeks. He went from 7 rushes to 11 rushes in week 4, another 10 this week. So he is getting a real role next to Alvin Kamara. And that said, if Alvin Kamara, let's say, no idea, but if he gets traded, Kendre Miller looks good. And if Kendre Miller steps into a volume role, and even if Kamara isn't his timeshare with Miller, Miller's worth a shot during the bye weeks. Brashard Smith, as of this recording, hasn't played his Monday night game, but 15% roster. He caught 3 or 4 targets for 27 yards against Baltimore. I believe that Brashard Smith is being taught to be the pass-catching back. Once they get Rashee Rice back in week 7, they already have Xavier Worthy. They want to open up the full force of this offense. That includes the Jerick McKinnon role, which is a receiving back. Brashard Smith fits it perfectly. In PPR leagues, get him on your bench now because he may be very beneficial as the season rolls on. Finally, there's a long shot in deep leagues. Isaiah Davis is 5% roster. Did not get much work behind Breece Hall against Dallas. But that said, Isaiah Davis is one situation of missed time for Breece Hall away from being a full-time back, and he is a talented runner. If you're enjoying this breakdown, take a second, hit like and subscribe. It helps RotoWire keep the fantasy advice coming your way. If you want even more RotoWire's tools, rankings, and insights, we got a 15% discount just for our YouTube viewers. You go to rotowire.com, you choose that subscription, and use the code YouTube15 at checkout. Let's go to receiver. Kendrick Bourne, San Francisco 49ers, played on Thursday night, 10 catches, $142. He's 4% rostered in Yahoo leagues. Here's why you keep an eye on him. If Mac Jones is the starter, remember, Kendrick Bourne did play with Mac Jones in New England, so they had chemistry going into that game, and they still do. We don't know if Ricky Pearsall is healthy or Jawan Jennings. The injuries on San Francisco are incredible, but it's even possible that Bourne has earned his way into some 3 receiver sets. But again, with the coach Kyle Shanahan scheming up plays, Mac Jones, chemistry of Bourne, take a look. Christian Kirk, 31% rostered, went 4 for 64 against Baltimore. Remember when he came back in week 3, 8 targets. He's going to gain chemistry with C.J. Stroud. When the pass rushes come in weeks, he'll be a great safety valve. Put him on your roster in those PPR leagues. Next, Romeo Doubs. He had a bye last week, 50% rostered. Remember against Dallas, he went off for 58 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, that said, he had a couple of games of less than 30 yards in weeks 2 and 3. But if you need help, Doubs could come out of the bye and be a reliable part of the offense. There'll be ups and downs, but he could help you out. Next, Torrey Horton is 6% rostered from the Seattle Seahawks. He doesn't get a lot of yardage. He did have 39 yards, a season high in week 5. He has a couple games with 32, but he has scored in 3 of 4 games. Somehow he finds the end zone. Don't know if that'll continue, but again, if you are really stuck, you could add him in and hope and pray he gets a touchdown or a big play. Jalen Coker of the Carolina Panthers may come off of injured reserve soon. We're not quite sure. 9% rostered. If you're in a deeper league and you need some help, he was very good last year with Bryce Young. It's possible when he comes back, he does step into a slot. He's a big slot receiver, slot volume role. Next one, Ryan Flanoy, Dallas Cowboys, not rostered, 0% of leagues, 6 for 114 on 9 targets against the Jets. It might have just been a one-off, but look, Cavante Turpin missed. If C.D. Lamb misses more time, it's possible Flanoy did enough to get some looks, and Dak Prescott is on fire. Anything that's connected to Prescott right now, you probably want a piece of on your roster if you need it. Next, Darnell Mooney, Atlanta Falcons, 33% rostered. Remember in week 3, when he was in week 2, he worked his way back from injury, first shook a little rust off. Week 3, he was 4 for 44, 11 targets. Well, in week 4, he had a poor stat line, but he left with a hamstring injury. He's expected to return. If that's the case, Mooney is a clear number 2 in an offense where he could have some good weeks. Finally, late deep flyers. Demarcus Robinson, if the 49ers keep having injuries, he's 10% rostered, did have 7 targets against the Rams. Tutu Atwell has caught a long pass in each of the last 2 games of the Rams. Tutu Atwell, 1% rostered. It's a pray for a bomb player. That would be it. Finally, super deep bottom of the barrel, Josh Reynolds did get 4 targets for the Jets, is playing about 2/3 of the snaps, mostly a blocker, but again, he'll get some looks. Tight ends, really good class this week. Mason Taylor, the last 2 weeks, he has 65 yards and 67. He had 7 and 12 targets. He is the number 2 option in the passing attack. Breece Hall could make an argument for that, but Mason Taylor is the promise that we were looking for. Definitely like when those PPR leagues. A.J. Barner is 2% rostered. A.J. Barner has 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games. The only week he didn't score was week 3. He scored in week 2 and in week 4, but he put up 7 for 53 in week 5. He is clearly getting a connection with Sam Darnold, growing role by the week. Maybe he's a fantasy starter by the time it's all said and done. Theo Johnson, 2 games with Jackson Dart, 2 touchdowns in week 5, 1 touchdown in week 4. The yardage is low, but he is getting at least 5 targets in those games. Definitely a young player on the rise. Finally, Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz, not a great player, 24% rosters, but in the last 3 games, 5 catches in each game. That's PPR floor gold if you need them. Oh, one quick one. Taysom Hill. He's back in the role. Did throw a 19-yard pass. Had 6 rushing attempts. Qualifies as a tight end. Take a look. Maybe his role expands, and he might turn into something down the road.